Alright guys, I just wanted to show you a quick demonstration on how I get my O.A.L. It's pretty pretty self-explanatory, but obviously I showed you guys how I make my modified case. So you just get it on there. Alright, yeah, so you get it on there so it's just butted up against with the, the shoulder of the O.A.L gauge. Loosen up the knurled screw there. Put your bullet in the end. Sink it down so just the tip is pointing out just a little bit. And push the little rod so it's just hitting the bottom of the bullet. And then tighten up your knurled rod or knurled screw. And with ARs, as you guys know, it's a lot harder to get your O.A.L on an AR just because it's semi-automatic and it's bolt actions are really easy to get O.A.L because you have access to the chamber a lot easier. You don't have to go through this little port here, and it's just a lot easier. But this is how I do it. I set up my AR on just a little vise, break it in half. You can take the whole lower off if you want, it don't matter, but I just split the lower, swing it down, and have it, have the barrel resting on two decently solid surfaces, and go from there. Don't take a lot of pressure or force, so it don't really matter. You don't want it just dangling off the edge of something, but as long as it's resting on something solid, you're good to go. Alright, so yeah, I just make sure the tip is barely sticking out of the end of the case and start it in the chamber. Go down the edge. Yep, go down the edge into the chamber and just stick it in, and I just give it a little bit of a twist so that way I know the bullet's nice and seated correctly in there. And then you're going to take, and the knurled nut is facing away from you guys, but unlock the knurled nut, push in this gray rod until it stops, hold light pressure on it with your finger, and then lock the knurled nut. And that is your bullet jammed up against the lands. You don't want to push really tight because you don't want to engrave the bullet at all, really. Slight bit of engraving at the tip is fine, but I'm just looking for where the bullet is touching the lands, not jammed into the lands, so I just hold light pressure on the end of the end of this black dowel, and then while you're holding slight pressure on it, lock your nut, and you're good to go. Now, taking it back out, I put a cleaning rod in the end, and you're going to need it in the end. I have the crown protected right now from a little insert, but as long as you're really careful, not jabbing at the crown, you're good to go. Crown's very tough. You just don't want to jab at it and mess it up. So as you can see, it's all set. So it's locked down, so I run this until it touches the tip of the bullet. Then I stop, run a cleaning rod up the end until it touches the tip of the bullet. And let's see if I can get you guys. Alright, that's about as good as I can do. So yeah, so I'm touching the tip of the bullet with the cleaning rod. So I take this and spin it and pull out a little bit so I know the brass casing is starting to come out of the chamber. And then while I'm twisting, I push on the cleaning rod a little bit and pull the whole bullet out. Now, if you don't have the cleaning rod up there, 9 times out of 10, you're going to just pull out this without the bullet. The bullet's going to be stuck in the lands. Now, a lot of people, with my bolt gun, I don't even stick a rod up the muzzle. I just bang the buttstock on something solid and the bullet falls right out. But AR is kind of hard to do, so you kind of have to do how I'm showing you here. So yeah, that's the whole reasoning of the cleaning rod, is because if you just pull this out without the cleaning rod, the bullet's going to be stuck in the lands and you're just going to be pulling out the brass modified case. So just like I said, shove the cleaning rod up the muzzle, you know, nice and slow, and you're good to go. And do what I just showed you, and then take your calipers. Alright, so yeah, take your calipers and get you moved so I can show you here. So yeah, take your bullet, get you in focus. So yeah, take your bullet, make sure it's pushed up against the little plastic dowel. So yeah, take your bullet, tap the bullet with at the end of the bullet with your finger, so that way it's pushed up against the gray dowel on the inside of the case. And then just take your calipers and see here. Very hard to do through a camera, I'll tell you. So take your calipers, make sure they're flat against the bottom of the case. Helps if you turn them on though, huh? Let me make sure they're zeroed. Yep, they're zeroed. Even though this is a more repetitive than the split case method, I found, than with the O.A.L gauge than the split case method, I still do it like 3 to 4 times just to make sure I'm getting a repetitive number. And yeah, bring it to the top of the case. And 2.560. Let me make sure everything's correct here. Yep, 2.560. Now I'll do that, like I said, 3 or 4 times, just to make sure I'm getting repetitive measurements. Now that one was a little longer than my other ones. I've done it 5 times in a row now, and I was getting 2.546, and I got that 5 times in a row, so that's what I'm going with. Like I said, it's hard to do this with the camera, and I may not have pushed correctly on this one because I'm working the camera and working O.A.L gauge and the cleaning rod. So, but yeah, so I did that and I got 2.546. My very first one was 2.555, which you guys just got 560, so that's close to that one. And then the next 4 out of it was 2.546. So 4 in a row I got at 2.546. So once I start getting that repetitive number, doing the same thing over and over, then you know it's good to go. And to be honest, from 2.555 to 2.546, that's not too far anyway. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna write down in my book that 2.546 is my touching the lands measurement for this SMK 80 grain, and you're good to go. That's all you need to do. So yeah, I was just showing you guys quickly how I'm, you know, I know most of you guys know how to do it, but there's some people on here that's just getting into reloading, so I'm just kind of showing you how an O.A.L gauge works and how you know, how easy it is, and like I said, bolt action, this seems a lot harder than what it is. A bolt action is 20 times easier than what you just saw. And you definitely get a little bit more repetitive number with a bolt action, I've noticed, because you just have the chamber right there, the gun can be flat, and you know, it's just a lot easier. But yeah, it works for semi-autos as well. ARs are just a little harder to do. And yeah, you're good to go. So that's how I do it. That's how I get my measurements. And I just want to show you guys that real quick. I will see you guys in the next one.